There exists a category of creatures in this world. They have been witnessed by a small number of people, but they have never been officially confirmed to exist. We call these creatures unidentified mysterious animals, or UMA for short. Hello everyone, welcome to the UMA series. In this episode, I will introduce you to a large cryptid feline from Tanzania. Its name is the Mngwa. The Mngwa, also known as the Nunda, refers to a massive carnivore said to dwell deep within the coastal forests of Tanzania. In the Swahili language, the word Mngwa means the strange one, and the word Nunda means the fierce and ruthless animal. This creature is typically described as a large cat with a brindled gray coat. It resembles a leopard in appearance, but is as large as the biggest lion. It is said to come out at night to hunt. It attacks villages, kills adult humans, abducts children, and tears its prey apart completely. The earliest recorded encounter with the Mngwa dates back to the early 20th century. In November 1927, British colonial officer William Hickins, writing under the pseudonym Feline, published an article in Chambers's journal. The article was titled "On the Trail of the Brontosaurus: Encounters with Africa's Mystery Animals." In it, he described his time serving as native magistrate in Tanganyika. He mentioned that in the village of Lindi, a Mngwa attack had taken place. The story goes back to 1922. At that time, merchants would leave their goods and cargo at the village market overnight for early morning trading. To prevent thieves and vagrants from entering, they organized a group of men to stand watch through the night. One evening, when a constable came to relieve the previous shift, he found his colleague missing. After searching the area, they discovered the missing man beneath a market stall. He was already dead and had been severely mutilated. The constable immediately contacted Hickins to come investigate the scene together. They found that the victim appeared to have been attacked by some kind of animal. Clutched tightly in the dead man's hands was a clump of matted gray fur. The next morning, while Hickins was still puzzling over the incident, the Arab governor of the district arrived with two frightened-looking men. They said that the previous night they had sneaked into the market, and what they witnessed there was terrifying. A gigantic brindled cat had leapt out from the shadows and pinned the victim to the ground. Overcome with fear, the two men immediately fled the scene. The old governor told Hickins that what they had seen was the Mngwa. All the coastal villages knew of it and feared this mysterious great cat. It had attacked villages on multiple occasions. That night, Hickins led two constables on a night watch, hoping to capture the beast, but nothing happened. On the third day, Hickins delivered a speech to his constables dismissing superstition, but that very same night, another constable was killed. His hands and uniform were covered in the same gray fur. With no other option, Hickins sent the fur samples to experts for examination. The only reply he received was just a few words, probably cat. Over the following month, several similar attacks occurred in other coastal villages. Despite deploying numerous traps and poison, and even calling in local armed police, the creature seemed to vanish entirely. It never appeared again. In December 1937, Hickins published an article titled "African Mystery Beasts." It appeared in the journal Discovery, the popular journal of knowledge, volume 18, number 216. In it, he described a second series of Mngwa attacks that he had encountered during the 1930s. The victim was an experienced old hunter from the village of Mngwa in Tanganyika. When Hickins found him, he was lying badly wounded on a stretcher. The hunter said he had been viciously mauled by a Mngwa. He had hunted many large wild animals throughout his life, and he was absolutely certain that what he had encountered was not a lion, a leopard, or any other known beast. In 1954, Hunter Patrick Bowen, who had once tracked the Mngwa, contributed to Frank W. Lane's publication Nature Parade. He wrote about his experience following the creature's tracks. In his account, the Mngwa had attacked a village and carried off a young boy. He and another man entered the forest to search for the child, but all they found were the creature's footprints left in the damp sand. The prints were strange. They looked like those of a leopard, but were as large as a lion's tracks. They also found some spotted fur nearby. Those are all the documented records of Mngwa attacks that can be found. It is worth noting that the Mngwa, or Nunda, also appears in Swahili folklore. In 1870, British clergyman and missionary Edward Steer published an anthology called Swahili Tales, as told by the natives of Zanzibar. Inside was a story titled Sultan Majnun, which contained a section known as the Nunda, Eater of People. The story features a cat that belonged to a sultan. One day the cat began attacking calves, then adult cattle, then donkeys and horses, and finally it began attacking children and adults. The sultan's leniency only made the creature bolder. The cat would hide in the bushes and devour everything that passed by. One day, the Sultan went out with his 6 sons. 3 of his sons were killed by this cat. Only then did the Sultan realize that it was no longer a mere cat. It had become a man-eating demon, a nunda. Eventually, the Sultan's 7th son set out to hunt down the nunda. After mistakenly pursuing several other animals, he finally found it. The creature was the size of a donkey. It had brindled fur, massive claws, and razor-sharp fangs. The youngest son killed it with a spear and brought it back to town. The people and the Sultan celebrated, and the youngest son became the new king. This story of the nunda is extremely rich in content. It has been adapted into a traditional song and passed down through Swahili generations. Those who are interested can search for it themselves. As for the possibility of this creature's existence, I believe it is relatively high. In modern times, speculation about the Mngwa tends to lean toward it being a large felid or a mutated variant. Cryptozoologist Carl Schuker has suggested that it may be an exceptionally large and aberrantly colored leopard. This would explain why its tracks resemble those of a leopard. Bernard Heuvelmans, on the other hand, proposed that it might be an undiscovered giant subspecies of the African golden cat. The largest African golden cats known today measure only about 4.5 feet in total length. But aside from its size, many other details of the Mngwa description can be explained by this theory. First, the African golden cat's coat varies widely in color. It ranges from gold to red, gray, and even black. It is one of the most morphologically diverse feline species in Africa. In some individuals, the coat variation produces a darker spotted or brindled pattern. Second, some eyewitnesses stated that the Mngwa does not roar loudly like a lion or leopard. Instead, it produces a purring sound much like a domestic cat. This is consistent with the throat structure of the African golden cat. Third, the African golden cat has an extremely wide distribution range. It is also known for being ferocious. Incidents of it attacking livestock and children are not uncommon. There is also another theory suggesting that some of these events may have been human acts. In Wild Cats of the World, published in 2002 by Mel Sundquist and Fiona Sundquist, a bizarre story is described. During the early 20th century, when Mngwa incidents were most frequent, there existed in the Singida region of Tanganyika a secret society of witch doctors known as the Lion Men. These individuals would dress themselves as lions and kill people who refused to pay them money, running a violent extortion racket. Many people were killed by young men disguised as lions. According to estimates, these Lion Men had killed more than 103 people. However, I was unable to find further detailed records to corroborate this claim. Similarly, from the mid-20th century to today, there have been no further reported Mngwa attacks on humans. Although Professor Bernard Heuvelmans' theory remains the most compelling explanation, no African golden cat of such enormous size has ever been discovered to this day. Perhaps this is an entirely new feline species, waiting to be discovered deep within the jungles of Tanzania. As always, the unknown is always greater than the known. That is all for this episode. Thank you for watching.